What you got?
I got scissors. What do you got?
I got rock solid picks. Here we go. Yo, what's up, everybody? We're back. It's another episode of Too Much Fantasy Football. This is Brian here, your host, and of course, we're missing Brennan tonight. And I had to find somebody who could bring the heat. None other than look at that entrance right there. Mario Adamo Jr. coming in, the waiver wire wizard. What's up, man? You're coming back for episode 2. Thank you very much, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So thank you to have me back on the show. I'm just overwhelmed by that graphic. I'll say I'm just taken aback. I didn't bring my hat and my robe with me this episode, but I wish I did if I knew the graphic was going to be ready.
Hey, that thing lasts 18 weeks. You can't bring it out early, okay? We only get so many uses every season out of it. Things starting to get holy, the amount of spells but you know what? We got championships to win this year. And that's what today's episode's about. We are going round by round, picking out our rock solid picks, our favorite picks from, I say every round. We're doing the first 4 rounds, and then we're going to sprinkle in after that a little bit, just so we get a good amount of coverage. But before we do that, I have to make sure that everybody knows, come check us out on the Fantasy Football Sports Advice Network. It's fantasysportsadvice.com. We've got the whole social media platform set up out there. You want Twitter? You want Facebook? No, we don't want that stuff. It's not quite as fun. This is what we have there. We've got it set up for consumers, for creators. We've got league classified set up there. We've got all of the fun. And so, of course, come see it. We've got articles, rankings. It's just the community that we're trying to build there. So again, it's fantasysportsadvice.com. Let's get to the show. Rock solid picks. Here it is. Dwayne the Brian Johnson. Nope. I thought there was a rock joke in there. There definitely wasn't, man.
We'll fix that in post.
Swing and a miss, right? Yeah. But yeah, we're going to start off with round 1 here. I almost feel like we got into this in the last episode. We were gushing about some of these running backs. So round 1, what is your rock solid pick? Which one do you feel so confident in?
Yeah, so this one, I'm not counting CMC because he is on a tier of his own. He's the round 0 pick if there would be. But I'm going to stay with the running backs. I'm going to go Breece Hall. Breece Hall, in my eyes, he's the next Derrick Henry. He's a hard runner. He's a powerful runner. His quarterback has to play more than 5 snaps this year. I am so excited. I am so all in on Breece Hall. I know a lot of the talk is kind of between him and Bijan, but something about just the Atlanta. I know Arthur Smith is gone and he can't hurt me anymore, but I don't know. I can't shake his ghost. So I'm going Jets. I'm going Breece Hall.
You still have, what's his name there? Hackett? Nathaniel Hackett's still stuck there. Old coach from the Broncos that lasted a game and a half. I'm right there with you, though. I love the offensive line, the improvements they've done there. Like you said, Aaron Rodgers has to play more, so touchdown efficiency, it's going up. Can it go down any more than it was with Zach Wilson out there? I think so.
I don't think it can.
Well, I feel like I'm going boring here because we're grabbing the top running backs here in the first round. I'm going with Bijan freaking Robinson. Yes, that's his middle name. Called his mom up. I was like, hey, I can't find it on ESPN. She says, yes, freaking. All right, ma'am. Let's go, Lady Robinson. But Bijan, that's my boy there. So excited. This is a top-ranked offensive line here in Atlanta. We have Kirk Cousins coming off the Achilles. What's the old man not going to be doing? He's not going to be running. He's going to be dumping off the ball, just like Russell Wilson did. Just like Big Ben, just like Eli, just like Peyton. All these old statue quarterbacks, they're dumping off the ball. So between what Bijan sees there, this new offense that is from the Sean McVay tree, they're going to be throwing the ball to him left and right. They're going to be feeding this guy. Tyler Algier, he's good. He's not great. He's not going to be pulling. They almost were 50-50 on snaps or on carries last year, Bijan and Tyler Algier. That will not be the case this year. Not at all. So the increased volume, the increased efficiency of this team, the defense is even looking better. Let's go Bijan. Bijan 2024.
When you were talking about the statuesque quarterback coming off the ACL injury, I'm like, is he just hyping up my Breece Hall pick some more? Because you're so right. It's that is the common theme here. It's just find an old quarterback and his cowbell wide receiver.
And I think that's what really gives them
Running
that
back.
edge to compete with CMC. Not that he has that old statue quarterback, but that's what really sets him apart. I mean, that is touchdowns, but these both teams are going to be better teams, just like the 49ers. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot. They're going to be scoring a lot. So I think that's what puts them in that same tier as CMC for me, and that's why I have them interchangeable this year in my rankings.
Definitely.
Alrighty, round 2. Let's go. Probably going to do some wide receivers now that we just both did running backs, right? What you got?
Oh my gosh. I'm, of course, sticking with running back, the most powerful position in all of fantasy sports. And I'm going with Kyren Williams. We talked about the McVay tree coaches. It's like, just go straight to the well. Just go straight to McVay himself. Kyren Williams last year. I remember this. I remember it was like kind of all over at least my feeds where it was like week 17. It was, no, you were comparing numbers between Kyren Williams and CMC, who was like the first overall pick. Kyren Williams was a waiver guy. Kyren Williams had 20 rushing attempts, 87 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was winning your weeks. He was winning your championships. Now, I know you can't predict an entire season off of one game. Otherwise, Kamara in his 6-touchdown Christmas Day game would he'd be going first overall. But I just love what I see from Williams. To me, he is kind of like the new Eckler. Like I compared Breece Hall to Derrick Henry. I see Williams as like this new Eckler kind of running back. I think I would not be surprised if he finishes as a top 5 running back, and now you're grabbing him in the second round. So no brainer for me.
Yeah, I understand people's concerns. His, I'm not going to question his toughness, but just his how well he can keep up with those injuries. We saw that foot injury there at the end of May, I believe it was. Stuff still lingering, whether it is or isn't. But as far as points per game, he was right there with Christian McCaffrey. So to get that kind of, Christian McCaffrey-esque, deployment in the second round, why not? Sure, he can get hurt. All of these players can get hurt.
All these guys can get hurt.
Spoiler alert, all of them can get hurt, except for Derrick Henry, of course, because he is, the king with his crown. I don't know how to make a crown with my hands now that I started that. I had to commit, but, Kyren, it's hard not to click that guy. I'd love if he fell just a little bit more because with these running backs. He is, but there's the injury concern. It's there, it's real, but risk it, biscuit. We know how that saying goes, folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Oh, sorry, I just want to add to that, but last season, CMC 24.5 points per game. Kyren Williams number 2, 21.3. The next guy after that is surprisingly Alvin Kamara with his shorter thing, but 17.9. So it's like he's closer to CMC than he is to number 3.
That sounds like a guy I want to take. I mean, come on. If he's out there on the field, what are you worried about, folks?
There it is.
All right, my round 2 guy. Looking back at the format here, I probably should have gone with A.J. Brown with my first round pick. Absolutely love him as far as the non-top 3 elite wide receivers go, because then it kind of would have helped our format go. Because you know what? We're going 4 straight running backs. I'm picking Devon Achane. Talk about a guy that breaks football. 7 yards a carry. Nobody has done that on the amount of touches that he had last year. It's almost impossible. It's stupid if we try to predict him having 7 yards a carry again this year. But you know what? I got him projected at 6.3. It's pretty damn close. And it's not freaking crazy. This guy's so good. This was the team that he needed to go to. Like the scheme that worked around him. There's other pieces. He doesn't have to be the workhorse to be elite. And he won't be. He's got Mostert there. They've got Jalen Wright, the rookie. And I think it's just a culmination of just everything that they need for this guy to be successful. And nobody can give you, not every player can give you 50 points a game. This guy can do it multiple times in a season. So Devon Achane, you talk about shooting for the moon. This is the guy that you're doing it with.
Oh, not everybody can get 50 points a game, except this one guy. I'm standing on the table for. So you're welcome, people.
And you have to stand on the table because otherwise you can't see him. He's a little bitty fella. All right, let's head to round 3, and maybe folks, you'll hear a new position. Fingers crossed. Mario, what you got for us in round 3?
Oh my gosh, I will give you guys a new position, but we're staying in the back family because we're gonna go quarterback. Now, normally, I will say I'm a firm believer of quarterbacks begin round 4, but I'm just so excited about Jalen Hurts. I will give a couple honorable mentions. Like I really like Deebo here because even if Ayuk does stay, Deebo's consistently proven he's going to get his. He can be the gadget guy. He can be the reliable guy. I also really like DJ Moore. DJ Moore looked electric with Justin Fields throwing him the ball. And maybe I've seen too much preseason and I'm just like, sipping the Kool-Aid too hard. But I can't imagine his numbers are going to be like with Caleb Williams. Maybe this TNC bit concerns that now it's a crowded wide receiver room between Keenan Allen. The rookie Adunze is looking great. But Jalen Hurts, it's just shown that if you get a quality quarterback, that's an extra 10 points a week. It's like you don't have to think about it. Yes, you could draft Kirk Cousins in round 10 and he'll get you the 17 points a game. But Hurts, even without Kelsey, we've seen his quads. Like I feel very comfortable. He's still going to tush push. It's just such a difference maker. I'm reaching on quarterbacks this year. Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts, I've got him as my number 1 quarterback right now. I can say that as someone who's not wearing a Philadelphia shirt, so there's no homerism here. I absolutely love the potential of Devonta Smith in the slot and Kellen Moore's offense. I have both of those wide receivers in my top 12 so far this year. I've tried to mess with the numbers and get them out of there, but I think this team is going to bounce back after a poor year when, they lost their OC and their DC last offseason. So it was a scramble. And Nick Sirianni, I don't think he's that great. So when he had to pull last season off, that's kind of where it fell. I just hope that they get it turned around enough for fantasy at least. Well, I can't help it. I pick great players because clearly Mario agrees. Deebo Samuel is my pick that I'm going with here in the 3rd round. Deebo's going right around 306 in sleeper. It's a mighty fine steal. I can guarantee you that's going to jump up probably close to a full round if once Ayuk gets traded. So if you're drafting early, this is a huge target for me. But between the touches he gets, through the air, on the ground, this player is what this team is built around. The reason we see other players succeed, like Kittle blow up in his 2 touchdown games, it's because Deebo's out. Deebo's hurt. If you watch Netflix Receiver, you even know that. That's the way that the other players correlate through Deebo. Like he is the guy. So I get CMCs there as well, but I love the upside of having Deebo this year.
I love it. I love Deebo.
Round 4, we're mixing it up again, except for me. I'm going back to the wide receiver well. Cooper Kupp. We talked about yesterday in the news episode a little bit. We got Puka Nacua dealing with a leg injury. He's week to week right now. What did we see happen last year, though? Cooper Kupp dealing with a leg injury. All of a sudden, Puka Nacua blew up. So now we're just going to turn the tables. We're going to make it real simple, folks. Cooper Kupp is a nice value here. I love grabbing the 1B in an offense when he's 3 rounds cheaper. Puka's still going in the 1-2 turn. You're getting Cooper Kupp at like the 4-ish. Maybe if you can get him at the turn. It's amazing. This guy still led the team in red zone targets last year, despite both of them being all over the field, and Nacua still doing awesome. So Cooper Kupp, he is still Matt Stafford's boy. And as long as Matt Stafford is up, Cooper Kupp will return value even in the 4th round.
100% agree. I mean, he's still going to have breakfast with Matthew Stafford, so you feel good about that connection.
Bacon and eggs, man. Bacon and eggs.
Most important meal of the day. I am going back to the running back most important position in fantasy. I'm going to say Joe Mixon. Mix on, baby. Mix on season is here. I know maybe his load was a little inflated last year with Joe Burrow obviously missing some time, but Mixon was running back 5 overall last season in half-point PPR, and he's going from one electric offense to another down in Houston. I love his value here in round 4. Last season, he was going early 3rd round, like late 2nd round. And now, again, he's a year wiser, but I think this is great value. I'm not shocked if he puts up top 10 numbers and you're getting him round 4.
Yeah, Devin Singletary, after he took over in the second half of last year, he had 3 top 7 finishes at the running back position. So you put in Joe Mixon, he's a little older, but a much more talented back, a guy who catches the ball as well. So I'm really excited for him in this offense. At fourth round pick, it feels great. It feels great.
Yeah, I love it. So
round 6, who do we have here? Going running back again, are you?
oh my goodness. Now I will say that, yeah, if you're just drafting off my guys, you're gonna have a terrible team because like you haven't drafted a wide receiver yet, and you're not gonna start here. So I'm gonna say David Montgomery. If you caught the news episode, I kind of mentioned a little bit where I am really excited about Gibbs, but I think Monty is just a Detroit guy. He's just a hard run in, like bring me in at the 5-yard line and I will get you 5 yards. He's just a powerful grinder. I expect him to continue to be the touchdown workhorse in Detroit. And, that's why he's going this late, though. He is a touchdown or bust guy. That's usually, I want to draft more consistency. But if he's getting a touchdown in more than half of his weeks, arguably that is consistent. I will give an honorable mention to just one guy, Terry McLaurin, just because I need to at least mention a wide receiver somewhere in this point. I'm really excited that he finally has a legitimate quarterback delivering him the ball. So it was between those two for me.
David Montgomery. I imagine we might see his ADP creep up a little bit depending on, Jahmyr Gibbs and that whole situation. So guys, he's going around. You taking David Montgomery or James Conner?
Montgomery.
Ramondre Stevenson or David Montgomery?
Montgomery. I think Stevenson's a phony. He's on my
Kenneth
Kyle
Walker.
Pitts list. Oh Kenneth Walker, I do like, but I'll tell you, I was having a big, internal conflict this offseason about how I really want to get shares of a Pete Carroll running back because he just runs them into the ground. Marshawn Lynch, Chris Carson, like, that he's just going to find a guy and feed it to him. Then it dawned on me. Then it dawned on me. Pete Carroll's not there anymore. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, so I like Walker a lot. I'm stoked to take him in round 6. Like if you're going wide receiver early, I think you get a legitimate top 15 running back in Walker. But I kind of think the same with Montgomery. I think I would pick Walker over Montgomery just because I do, he's more of the 3-down guy versus someone that's just going to get a touchdown, 3 touchdowns every 2 weeks. But yeah, now we got some up and down.
It feels stupid, but I mean, Montgomery is going around after Kenneth Walker, depending on what platform you're in. They're going pretty close in Yahoo, it looks like, but I'd still probably go David Montgomery. Like Kenneth Walker, I don't know why it just doesn't. He doesn't do it for me. I'm taking Zach Charbonnet in the last part of some of my drafts. I don't know. It's a struggle here, folks. I'm not saying it's a bad pick. He's a home run hitter. When he busts it off, he busts it. But there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. It's 3 good receivers, 2 good running backs. The tight end room, we've still got Noah Fant there. I'm a little apprehensive with him, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I just double checked it. So Montgomery, he did miss some time due to injury, but out of the games he played, he didn't score a touchdown in 3 of them, and he played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games. So nobody loves counting more than, counting on radio. That's good stuff. But so there, all that's saying, 11 out of 14 games, he scored at least 1 touchdown.
That's pretty good. I mean, the Detroit Lions have the most expensive offensive line, top 5 offensive line. This is now 2 years in a row they've had a running back score in the double-digit touchdowns. I think it's in the realm of possibilities, 100%. My round 6 guy that I picked, you got Monty. I'm going Christian Kirk. We've got a nice yin and yang here. Maybe personally we didn't pick the right balance of players, but we're just going back and forth. So my wide receiver is Christian Kirk. I absolutely love this fella. We're going back to 2022. Just wind the clock back. Just Calvin Ridley's no longer there. We got the same freaking team. Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr.'s there, the rookie out of LSU. He has explosive plays, but him and Gabe Davis will probably be splitting off snaps for a while until Brian Thomas proves that he's the one that can catch the ball out of the 2 guys. Christian Kirk is going to feast. We talked about it on our hot takes episode. I think that Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk can both finish at the top 10 at their positions this year. Christian Kirk, we already saw him do it. We saw him absolutely feast on targets. Evan Ingram's going to too. He almost broke the record last year. I still think he is in that realm of possibilities for this year, but despite him being a big-bodied man, he's not a touchdown boy. Christian Kirk, he's not big either, but he is a touchdown fella. So if he's walking out of there with 6, 8, maybe 9 touchdowns, maybe even get to 10, because, Ridley, the amount of red zone targets he had last year was astronomical. He didn't even catch most of them. So if Christian Kirk can come down with a 8-touchdown season like we've seen him do it before, this guy is a steal in round 6, an absolute stud at a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside that you're taking possibly as your wide receiver 4. Love him. Big old heart right here.
Agree. So
After I take off my Jalen Waddle shirt, I'll be wearing a Christian Kirk shirt. You're just going all Florida wide receivers.
I was gonna say this is actually like perfect because it's almost just like hey, you just drafted all wide receivers, so let me give you a running back, and then like vice versa. It's like, hey Mario, now that you have 4 running backs, maybe I can interest you in a Christian Kirk.
Well, why don't you interest me in a round 8 player? Who you have there?
Oh my goodness. Are we changing position? Nope. Running backs. So we're going in round 8, maybe the steal of a century. Nick Chubb in round 8. Yes, his leg basically exploded last year. But it was early last year, so he's had as much time to recover as possible. And I'll just say I have too much respect for Nick Chubb. Maybe it's because he's done right by me too many times. But I even just going back to history, again, this doesn't mean no predictor of the future, but in half-point PPR, I'm going to rattle off some numbers. He was a running back 5 in 2022, running back 11 in 21, RB9 in 2020, and RB7 in 2019. So just going back, yes, he's basically guaranteed, not guaranteed, but he is an RB12 or better in almost all of those, and you're just getting him in the 8th round. Now, yes, they did get some more mouths to feed in Cleveland. I'm looking up the roster now, so I don't have it in front of me. Preseason for me too, but I'm just excited. This is the 8th round. Who's going around him? Jake Ferguson. Yes, he's a stud, but he's not an RB. He's not a top 12 running back. So I'm taking him.
Yeah, Nick Chubb is. I haven't really taken him much at all this season. The hype videos, how do you not fall in love with those videos? His barbell that he uses isn't even a straight line. Like it's ridiculous.
Straight line. I trust the leg.
It's hard not to. Like, this guy is not human, if you will. Like, there's rules we apply, there's injury risk, there's stuff that we look into, and there's a handful of guys at every position that are just different. Nick Chubb is different. We made the joke about Derrick Henry, indestructible. Nick Chubb is pretty damn indestructible. Like, has more muscle in his leg than I have in my body, and that's... I talk a lot, so there's quite a muscle up there, you know what I mean? So it's hard not to take him, especially around 8. What are you risking here?
What's that?
You know what you're risking? You're risking Deontay Johnson. I know, the wide receiver for the Steelers. Time out. Where y'all been this offseason? No, he got shipped off to Carolina Panthers, where they got a new head coach. Yep, Canales, the guy who fixed Geno 2 years ago and the guy who fixed Baker last year. What's he coming to do? He's coming to fix that owner. I'm sorry, not the owner. The quarterback, Bryce Young, the first overall pick. Little pipsqueak guy, I think he's set up for, a good season. I say good relative to what we got last year. Superflex. I've been taking him as a quarterback 3 in Superflex leagues. I don't think he's going to be awesome, but I think Deontay is. Deontay Johnson is still one of the premier route runners in the NFL. That's what Bryce Young needs. He needs him to be as open as freaking possible because the accurate guy we saw at Alabama did not move to Carolina with them last year. So I'm hoping in this possibility, they spend a lot of money on guards, but on offensive linemen. So they want to run the crap out of the ball. The dump off's going to be there. They're going to be eyes on there. They spent a lot of capital on Jonathan Brooks coming off an ACL, but we should see him in there quite a bit. But Adam Thielen was a top 12 wide receiver last year. Even after he fell off in the second half, he still finished at wide receiver 25. So there's no way you can tell me that Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson's skills are comparable. Absolutely not. Deontay Johnson is leaps and bounds ahead of that. So why wouldn't he finish even close to that? Because right now you're taking him way past wide receiver 36. So you're telling me he can't finish within 12 spots of Adam Thielen last year? Washed up Adam Thielen? Nothing against Adam Thielen. He's coming on the pod in a few weeks. Or at least I hope. But, that's just... He's not.
Got me excited. Oh, man.
But Deontay Johnson, I have a hell of an exposure to this guy. I think he's going to be a target hog. For any reason that you took Devontae Adams last year in Vegas with that shit show, I think this is the shit show you want to buy into this year.
You got me hyped. I'll say I did forget that he got traded. So I was like, why are we drafting Steelers? What are we talking about? Pittsburgh is a wasteland. Carolina, also kind of a wasteland, but I was thinking Adam Thielen immediately when you were talking about Carolina. Bryce Young just needs to have one guy who's open he can focus on. Johnson can be that guy. And in round 8, I mean, you could either take RB12 or wide receiver 25-ish. So both viable options.
Don't mess with me here. He's going to finish wide receiver 17. I can feel it.
17? I take the over.
Oh, come on. There's going to be injuries. There's always injuries. You got to take 6 guys out of the top 20 just on injuries alone.
That's true.
All right, we've got one last round we're going to cover. Round 10. This is our deeper round we're going to touch on. And, of course, Mario can't give you a wide receiver. That would be his style. He's going to throw us a...
We'll give you a quarterback. We're going back. Yes, we're going back to the QB well. And this is for the people who did not reach for a quarterback in round 3. So you're going to take Jared Goff in round 10. Love me some Goff. He was quarterback 7 last year, which is better than Patrick Mahomes, by the way, who's going many, many leaps and bounds of rounds above him. And in terms of QB, in terms of point per game, Goff played 17 games last year. So out of players that played 17 or more games last year, which is all of them, all the games, not the players. He was quarterback 5. So out of all the quarterbacks that played every single game, he was QB 5. You're getting him in round 10. And last little nugget I have about Jared Goff, because I used to cover a whole lot of the Lions were really big of my team of mine when it came to start sits last year. And home Goff is a different animal. He's a different beast. For whatever reason, he just plays better at home. I mean, who doesn't? But here's a fun thing about the Lions this year that you should keep in mind. The Lions, and we can go through this live just to double check my work. They don't play an outdoor cold game until week 16 at Chicago, because they're either playing at home in a dome, on the road in a dome, or they're playing just outdoors. Like I'll say week 9, they play at Green Bay. It's not going to be cold. It's going to be cold week 9, but it's not going to be Lambeau cold at week 9. You're playing week 15, you're playing Buffalo. Guess what? That's a home game. Same with, a couple weeks before that. So, and then even after week 16, you're playing no more cold
San
games.
Francisco.
You're playing at San Francisco, and then week 18, if you're still doing fantasy, versus Minnesota. Oh, that's home. But even if it wasn't home, they have a dome. So you have one cold outdoor test for the Lions. So I am very high on Jared Goff this year.
Yeah, early bye at week 5, but 3 of their first 4 games are home games, and then that third one or that fourth game is at Arizona. So again, lovely Glendale in Arizona, nice and warm.
Yep, it's just beautiful weather. So I'm stoked on Jared Goff in round 10.
Yeah, one of the best starts of the season as far as a quarterback goes this year. So I'm all for the cleanup on Goff if you don't get one of the elite guys early.
Yep. Who do you got?
And you know what? I followed your running back trend. We cannot go. Wow, we didn't go a single round without bringing up a running back. So of course I had to lock it up here. The last pick. I've done too many shows about this fella, so I'm going to try and keep it short, but make sure I hit the big points for the people that are coming here for their first episode. Tajay Spears. Yes, the second round running back for the Tennessee Titans. I will say there was hype in January and February as far as dynasty people. This is a guy to buy, And I wasn't into it. I just I'm not willing to pay the price. This isn't that. I knew they were going to bring in somebody. And what do? They bring in an older replica of him. Tony Pollard came to town, and I've been all over Tajay Spears ever since then. When you get ambiguous backfields like this, when you get running back rooms where we don't know who the starter is and nobody's being taken at an ADP that's high, you always go for the second one. You go for the younger one and or the second one, and that's the situation we have here. ADP-wise, Tajay Spears is going well after Tony Pollard, and he's the younger one. How many of these running backs, these Alexander Madisons that are sitting behind the stud running back, and they just need a chance. They just need a chance. Well, not only did we see Tony Pollard do that last year, not pull it off, well, he had to go to another team. That usually doesn't fix the situation here. 2-year deal, $8 million, not a whole lot. But what did they do? They brought in the offensive coordinator from Cincinnati. He's now the head coach. And he brings in Papa Bear. He brings in old daddy, the offensive line guru, to come fix this crap offensive line here in Tennessee. They also took a top 6 player at the offensive line to put down a tackle. So this line's going to be improved. This running game is going to be improved. They brought in all of the geriatric wide receivers they possibly could between Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, and Boyd. So they're going to air it out. They love throwing, or at least the head coach loves throwing the ball up in Cincinnati. He did with what's his name, Andy Dalton. Like his first year was the year before Burrow. And they still were in the top as far as neutral game strip and throwing the ball. So Tajay Spears caught so many balls last year. He not outplayed, but he was out there more than Derrick Henry was on passing and rushing plays. So super excited. Love that he's a round 10 pick. You're going hero RB. You're going zero RB. This is the guy that pairs with it beautifully. End segment.
Oh my goodness. I mean, yes, if you drafted the opposite of the top guys I gave you, which was just nothing but running backs, and you got me excited about Spears. Because when you were first talking about him, like, you know they got Tony Pollard, right? But then, as you mentioned, it's like, yeah, well, guess what? They shipped off Tony Pollard for a reason, like to Tennessee. So you got me excited.
And they play the same role. Like the coach has been very apparent about this is the 1A and 1A. Like these guys both can catch the ball. They play the same role, which is good. That means that Tajay Spears isn't going to miss out on playing time because Tony Pollard's doing something he can't. That probably means that whoever's playing better, the hot hand is going to be going out there. Or Tajay Spears is going to be, when it comes to breaking an electric play, one that's, all the way down the field, I'm going to put my money on him. He looked great last year. So we were scared last year because of that degenerative knee thing, the whole Todd Gurley. I didn't see it. Either way, it's 2 years in the league. We won't see it until next year. That's next year's problem. That's future us's problem,
Yeah. Dynasty red flag, but not redraft.
I think that's what it came down to. Is I was not a dynasty guy, but I am 100% in on redraft for him.
I love it.
Alrighty, we covered the top 10 rounds minus a few that we didn't cover. I hope this helps, folks. Gives you a better understanding of what we're looking for here. Of course, don't forget, come on over to the Fantasy Football Advice Network. The platform's booming. We've got everything over there. I've got an ETN jersey league. You want to come join a 10-man league and win a free jersey? All you got to do is come sign up. It's completely free. You got to beat me. You come get it. We have tons of these leagues going. I think we've got close to a dozen jersey leagues. So make sure you're coming over there on the Fantasy Football Advice Network. Before we get out of here, though, Mario, I can't thank you enough for coming to hang out with me, man. Tell the people where you at.
Yes, of course. So you can find me on Twitter at Mario Damo Jr. You can also find me at QB List. So I do a couple podcasts there with Brian. Also write a couple articles. I usually do the waiver article every single Tuesday that drops. Keep an eye on that. And then lastly, I'm super active in the Reddit threads. I usually sign off that it's Mario from QB List, and there's not a lot of Marios at QB List, so it's usually May that you see there.
Exactly. You might see a Luigi or two, but we've only got the one Mario over at QB List. Yeah, that's sweet. We thought we'd try. But of course, folks, it's at @too_much_Brian on Twitter. Reddit's it's a little too rough in the streets for me. I get kicked around too much, but you will find me here on the Fantasy Football Advice Network. We've got too much best ball, too much fantasy football, multiple episodes coming at you all season long. And of course, like he said, QB List. We've got the show Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Scratch that, dropping to you on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday now that I put that all together. But I can't thank you enough for listening, folks, and we'll see you next time.